Oh, hey guys, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is it. It's a pilot episode, very first episode of the Anarchist, MMA and Miscellany. I'm your host, Jesse Elliott. Again, thanks you guys for tuning in. I really think that the whole concept I came up with for this show is pretty unique. I don't think there's anything else like this out there. I was actually, I got a Facebook message. I was at Rockfest a couple weeks ago, and I get a Facebook message from Michael Shanklin, and he asked me, "Hey, you want to host a show on Voluntary Virtues Network?" And I thought about it for about 2 seconds, and hell yeah, I want to host a show. So came up with this concept, and here we are. By the way, happy Father's Day, everybody. I didn't even realize about the time when I was planning all this out, at the timing for my air date would put the first episode airing on Father's Day. I think it's only fitting because I would like to leave a better world for my son, any future children I might have, and for all your children. A world where more people reject the violence of the state and look for voluntary and peaceful solutions to their problems. Jesse the Anarchist, Elliott, it's not just a fighter name that sounded cool. I chose that name for myself. And I had, some small hope that any notoriety I might get from my fighting career, I could use that as a platform to introduce others to anarchist thought and voluntarism, and yeah, it also does sound kind of badass. Jesse the Anarchist Elliott. If you've never heard it announced, you don't know. Anyway, to put it simply, I advocate for a voluntary society, a society where all human interaction is voluntary, all relationships are voluntary. I'll try to get into that a little bit more later, but there's some other things I want to go over. At first, how about a word from our sponsors? I don't have any fucking sponsors. Hopefully, future, Anyway, so let's talk about fighting. First, funny story. It was a few months ago. I guess I must have had a fight coming up. I don't even remember how long ago it was, but there's a kid that trains at Glory MMA with me, named Brandon, and he said something about it's going to be anarchy in the cage. I'm like, anarchism is actually about nonviolence. He just gives me a puzzled fucking look on his face. How does that work? And it's funny. So us anarchists know, libertarians know. People think of anarchy, and it's that cliche. It means chaos and mayhem. And then once you get over that hurdle, that it's not about the Road Warrior, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the Postman, whatever the name of that movie was. It's always those post-apocalyptic movies over some nuclear war. They fail to mention that only governments wage nuclear war that I've ever heard of. Anyway, so you get over that hurdle, right? Okay, so it's about nonviolence. Well, okay. Reconcile that with you're a cage fighter. You're an MMA fighter. How can you why do you fight then? If you're about nonviolence, okay. And so, basically, I mean, there's aggressive violence, which that's what's bad. Contact sports are inherently violent. You're gonna touch each other, right? In some times unpleasant ways, and in a combat sport, that's the goal, is to touch somebody else in an unpleasant way. But the difference is this is consensual. This isn't like a street fight, which generally the aggressor, whoever throws the first punch, is usually frowned upon, right? In a court of law, or going back to school, who threw the first punch, that's the one that's going to get in trouble. But really, you even think about, like a bar fight, or, just a feud with your buddy, or whatever, or back in the day, people had rivals and they had duels with them, swords, fist swords or guns, sometimes, it was to the fucking death. It's pretty hardcore, but I think some people should bring them back, whatever, but, think about that, let's go. You just really don't like somebody's face, and they don't like your face, and the only way that you guys are both going to handle that is to go outside. But you both agree to go outside with the understanding that you're going to go fight. I'm totally okay with that if both people consented ahead of time. Not just with somebody starting swinging. Yeah, initiatory violence, aggressive violence. Yeah, that is wrong. That's immoral, right? But back to the topic at hand, mixed martial arts and other combat sports. That's two people agreeing. That's a verbal contract. We understand that. Well, it's actually a written contract in a lot of cases. Sign a waiver. We understand the risks. Yes, I want to do this, for entertainment, to entertain others, whatever, for pride, for money, but that's the key difference, consensual versus non-consensual. Like I said, voluntary society, voluntary interaction, voluntary relationships. Something can't be voluntary without consent, obviously. So anyway, and another thing, you think about that competitive edge, for even for self-defense purposes, which I think that's something that's very important for especially anarchists, self-defense is a basic human right. You always have the right to defend yourself, no matter what the law says. I mean, you've got to protect yourself, no matter what. Somebody's trying to kill you, or somebody's trying to rob your livelihood from you. Somebody's trying to hurt you, or somebody you care about. You got to be able to defend yourself for them. So anyway, yeah, and obviously not just for anarchists. Anybody, you should be able to defend yourself. So anyway, most martial artists, I think it's pretty much consensus that those that compete are usually better, right? There's that extra incentive to train harder, to train more, because you're staying active. It's like, hey, I got a tournament coming up. Hey, got a match coming up. I got a fight coming up. So stay in the gym, stay in shape, keep working on that technique, fixing my weaknesses, whatever. And so you're going to train harder if you got competition coming up, obviously. But also, it's better for real life situations too, because somebody who competes, they're already used to like a live opponent, going full speed at somebody else, and with them fighting back with full speed, 100% power, and so that's also the edge it gives you. So you're more used to it. You're going to be calmer in a life or death situation, and a street fight, a real self-defense situation. And I think MMA is the combat sport that most resembles a real fight. There's some that disagree, but you're in the minority. Sorry to tell you. Speaking of all that, self-defense, martial arts, whatnot. I have been planning on having this segment. So we're gonna go ahead and go into it now. The move of the week, and I'm gonna do this every week. Just showcase one technique, one move, and it could be a lot of different things. A punch, a kick, takedown, submission move, whatever, a sweep. But really just to kind of introduce noobs to martial arts and to get them and pique some interest in them, and also to experienced martial artists to generate some discussion amongst them, about this move or that move. But anyway, this week's episode is going to be demonstrated by a guy that you guys probably recognize. So here we go. It's the move of the week. Buddy, so today I'm going to be showing you the rear naked choke. It's some of you might know as a sleeper hold, and this is hands down, this is the strongest choke in martial arts. I've won a couple of fights, finished with the rear naked choke, my first and second MMA fight. So you can say I know how to do this. So you take somebody's back, you make sure you get your hooks in, both feet in, and we're going to go for what we call a seatbelt position. Just one hand over, one hand under. And it's the overhand that you're going to be choking with. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure I'm nice and tight. I'm going to reach the choking hand for my shoulder as deep as I can get it. And then I'm going to reach around behind the head with this one. And I'm going to squeeze with my shoulders. You good? Okay. And you can do it with either arm, back here, whatever. And a couple of variations. One, if I'm going for the choke and she starts to fight it off, right? I can go two hands on one and trap it with my foot right here. And my sister's only got used with one hand. And that's one I got trapped there. So she's not fighting this off now. Good? Okay. And another one, another variation that really only takes one arm. Say you're in a hand fight, whatever. I can go for it the same way, and I'm just going to squeeze with the one shoulder. I'm going to squeeze it over here. And it's real quick, and I kind of like that. That's something that Tanya Everger actually taught me. It was after my second fight, and there was a couple of times where I was going for the rear naked choke and didn't get it. And she's like, you can do it just like this. So anyway, now just to show y'all, my sister is going to do it for me. By the way, this is my sister Beverly. Say hi, Beverly.
Hi, guys. Now that I can't talk anymore.
Okay. So she's going to get her hooks in. She's going to get the seatbelt position. One hand over, one hand under. All right? She's going to go for the choke. I sort of fight it. Here, whatever. Real simple. She's never done martial arts in her life. I was fading there. Like, if she would have held that, I would have passed out. I promise you. And also, come here, Sam. Just to show you again how powerful this choking is, how old are you, Sam? You 8? You 8? My 8-year-old nephew, Sam, is going to choke me out. And I promised him that if he could make me pass out, I would buy him a slushie from Sonic. So, let's see how he does. All right, Sam. So, remember. Seatbelt. Seatbelt. Right. Now, reach for your shoulder. Get that under the chin. Right. Reach behind the head. Right there. And squeeze with your shoulders. Right. Squeeze. Come on. Get deeper. All right, we're going to try again. Get deeper. That's right. Squeeze with your shoulders. As hard as you can. Squeeze with your shoulders. Come on, squeeze.
Come on. You want to try it one more time?
No, thank you.
Okay. That's alright. He almost made me pass out before, but he's just getting a little too tired. Anyway, that was a rear naked choke. You know, sorry, I was hoping that Sam could make me pass out. You sure you want to try one more time?
Okay.
Alright, we're going to try one more time. Come on, Sam. You got this. Tight against the body, right? Deep on your shoulder. Deep on your shoulder. Squeeze your shoulders back. Woo! Alright. Like I said, this is the strongest move. The strongest choke in martial arts. Not necessarily the strongest move, but, you know, once you're in this, if that elbow's under the chin, you know, it's lights out most of the time. 99 out of 100 times, probably. And I was just trying to demonstrate how simple that is to learn. You know, taking somebody's back is a whole nother story, but once you get there, you know, you got this choke now. You're watching the Anarchist, MMA and Miscellany on Voluntary Virtues Network. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time.
So something I noticed when I was looking at that footage, you know, the reason, I don't know how many of you saw, the reason that choke wasn't working the first time when Sam tried it was he was grabbing his arm, you know, he was grabbing like the bicep or the tricep instead of grabbing his shoulder. Like you gotta grab the shoulder. That's the most important part of the move. You know, that makes it tight. And then, you know, his arm was slipping over to where the elbow wasn't under the chin. You know, that's the two key things. You gotta grab the shoulder and the elbow's gotta be under the chin. Right, Sam?
Right.
Yeah, he was grabbing onto his sleeve, you know, doing this stuff, and yeah, that's, you know, I couldn't see that, obviously, or I would have coached him through that, but on his second try, he did it right, and it worked. You know, you guys saw how quick I was going out. I was falling over almost immediately when we tried it. So, anyway, it's that simple. It's all about the technique, little details. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Say hi, Sam.
Hi.
Say bye.
Bye. Bye, creep.
Alright, so we're gonna get choke. Maybe some of you learn something new. Anyway, you know, so I'm about the move of the week. You know, as I mentioned before, I really want to showcase a variety of different moves, techniques. And really, I'd like all of you send me your video, you know, martial artists out there, fighters, instructors, judo players, jiu-jitsu players, wrestlers, whatever. Send me your video. You never know what I might pick. I want to have, you know, a nice catalog to choose from. You know, make it a few minutes. That one was actually a little long. Of course, I had 2 different people demonstrate it on me, but 5 minutes tops. Anyway, you know, yeah, you can email me, get a hold of me on Facebook. It's my email. All my contact information will be, you know, down. You look down below the video. Click the arrow. I hope all you know how to use YouTube. So my email is Jesse_Elliott 1083 @hotmail.com. It's Jesse, Jesse, Elliott, ELLIOTT. But anyway, yeah, I guess talk about fighting some more. You know, why I fight, what got me into fighting. You know, I was always interested in martial arts. You know, grew up watching Ninja Turtles. Who didn't? If you haven't seen Ninja Turtles, I feel sorry for you. If you didn't watch that, you didn't have that in your childhood. You know, and I think I've always been tough, like in the way tough versus strong. Like tough could withstand punishment, basically, without breaking. Physical punishment, you know, I would never back down. challenge for the most part, even if I knew I was going to get my ass whooped, which was usually the case because I had no skills. I was never, athletic or anything. And that was always a little weakling, a little scrawny guy that got, picked on. That's what's cool about having weight classes. Anyway, so actually, about 2007, I was 24 years old. I did karate from 2007 to 2008. It was a little over a year. Okinawan Goju-Ryu karate. I was at Locke's Karate Academy in Belton, Missouri. It was Sensei Aaron Locke. Anyway, I did that for a while. I got into, UFC, obviously. There was that season of The Ultimate Fighter, Hughes versus Sarah, and Mac Danzig won the tournament for that season. And then there was that next one, Forrest Griffin versus Rampage, that Amir Sadal ended up winning that season. It was like, man, that would be awesome to be a fighter, be on a show like that. Back then I was young enough. I thought, man, I learned jiu-jitsu, man. I could do this. I could be a professional fighter. Try to get on that show. But yeah, took me a little bit longer than I'd like to learn jiu-jitsu and get into fighting, though. Anyways, but I had bought into that hype. It was about 2009 I finally did try out jiu-jitsu. It was everything I'd hoped it would be. So it wasn't just hype, obviously. There was a place called, it's not there anymore, it's Ground Control KC. And I was there for about a month. I was riding my bike about 15 miles to go train, and I didn't really have any money. I didn't have decent transportation, so I didn't go for very long, but I have to say that this is not knocking karate or other traditional martial arts, but 1 month of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was better than over a year of karate as far as my competitive edge against just another average Joe, at the very least. And that's probably more because just a little bit of grappling gives you that much more of an edge, because a lot of people don't have very good instincts. They don't have any fucking idea what they're doing on the ground, right? Which, yeah, obviously, Hoist Gracie proved how important that was back in the 90s. All the Gracies did. And good grapplers have throughout time. But, yeah, so I really liked it. Couldn't keep doing it, but, I did remember a couple of things. And so you fast forward a couple years later, I was watching some fights with a buddy of mine at Whiskey Tango, and I noticed that this one team, they were winning all their fights, whatever. So I got a hold of the coach on that team, and about a month later, I was moving to Lee Summit anyway, and that's where his gym was. And so I signed up with them, started coming, came to a few classes. A couple weeks later, they merged with Grindhouse, and they were, at the time, it was actually Team K2L Grindhouse. They were in the K2L Taekwondo school. And then it was a couple weeks after that the new Grindhouse facility opened. And so I was there from the very beginning of that. By the way, we're Glory MMA and Fitness now. It's not Grindhouse anymore. Same facility, though, same people. But, anyway, so then I had a kickboxing match. I had a couple of grappling matches, before that. I don't really count those. Those are more exhibitions. But I had a kickboxing match in January 2012. I won that. But then I had to move back to Peculiar from Lee Summit. That's the little town I'm from, south of Kansas City. Had to move back there, and then my son was born, a couple months after that. And even in that couple of months between then, I wasn't coming all that much. Not even once a week. And anyway, So there was a lot of off and on. I was gone for a long time. So then I finally, just last year, about a year ago, June 2013, I had my first MMA fight. And it was in front of like 10,000 people. And, I got taken down, held down. I got the shit kicked out of me the first round. Just held down, could not get off my back. Dude had me mounted, ground and pound, just beat my face up pretty good. But I ended up coming back in the second round, winning by rear naked choke. I think I mentioned that in Move of the Week video. But anyway, so I'm 3-0 now. I've had a couple fights this year. I got another one lined up for August 16th at Gale Davidson, Granby, Missouri. That should be pretty cool. Also, I'm going to do a grappling tournament here in a couple weeks. I haven't done anything like that yet, jiu-jitsu tournaments or anything of the sort. So that's Grappling Alliance. It'll be in North Kansas City, June 28th. So that should be pretty cool. I signed up for all the divisions, gi, no gi, the takedown tournament, which I'll probably go out of that pretty early. But whatever. All I can do is try. And it's like every fight I've had, I've really had to overcome some kind of adversity. Even when I knew going in I felt like the favorite, there was still something in me that it was like I was still the underdog. Maybe that comes from just, like I said, I've never been athletic. I never did any type of sports, and I could never fight for shit when I was a kid. So, I've always been the underdog. But and a lot of it's been about heart, and I kind of, it's kind of analog to, our struggle against the state. Yeah, they're a lot more powerful. They have a lot more guns pointed at us. But I think we'll eventually, win with heart. Versus, their power, their violence versus, what we got going on, perseverance, whatever. So I kind of, compare the two. I hope to go pro one day. And we'll see. I mean, I'm getting old. I'm 31. We'll see where I'm at in a couple of years. I'd like to at least win one professional fight. As far as, this year, I got some goals. I want to earn my blue belt this year. Like I said, I had taken a lot of time off. I should have gotten a blue belt in jiu-jitsu a long time ago. And, including the fight I have coming up, I want to have at least 3 more fights this year. And win at least 2 of them. So we'll see how that goes. And just, and I would like to, I'd like to get some black belts in the future. Maybe, obviously, go for jiu-jitsu. That could take my entire life. But, maybe go back and do karate again, or my black belt, and Goju-ryu karate, judo or something like that. I'd like to teach martial arts eventually. And especially, if my son shows interest in it, especially, wants to be a fighter like Daddy. I want to give him every opportunity to succeed. Obviously, it's not something I'm going to push him into, but he's going to learn to defend himself. That's really fun. I'm running out of time, but I was hoping to do some questions. My brother, Robert from Missouri was asking me, so wait, is this show, is this about your MMA thing, or is it about your Anarchist thing, So, to answer your question, is this an MMA show, or is this an Anarchist show? The answer is yes. It's both, obviously. Anyway, he's like, well, if it's an MMA show, won't the FCC shut you down for all that anarchy talk, whatever? Like, no, come at me, bro. Fuck the FCC. Anyway, pretty much out of time. I was hoping to go over some other things. Anyway, I guess we'll talk about that next week. I hope you all tune in. Thanks everybody for bearing with me. I know it's probably gonna be amateur hour for a little while until I get my bearings, get a better setup to record with and everything. But hey, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, whenever they started South Park, that was like they were using cardboard cutouts. So you never know. I'm not saying network TV, but you never know. This show could turn into something really cool. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week. This is Jesse Elliott. You're watching Voluntary Virtues Network. Good night.